Why would... So you
Why
called him.
would... Yes, I called him. I told him. We asked.
Why is it
Just accidentally
OBS?
nearly put my non-existent camera on there.
Yeah, I
What's
noticed
up, Alec?
the OBS just immediately pulled up.
I don't have a camera in my computer because I don't want the spies to watch me.
Mossad, yeah,
I'm,
Mossad would watch.
chilling out.
I'm very surprised about this call, but
Why?
hold on. Let me cook. Let the adults speak. Hansel came to me,
Oh.
and she was like, Leutgard wants peace, and I was like, no, he does not. There's no way he wants peace. He wants my total eradication. I'm like, this is like the AI clip of Hitler when Hitler is like, I asked them for peace 7 times and they refuse. I'm like, this is total war.
I'm not sure what Hansel told you. My understanding was that she had been discussing with you the possibility of you throwing in the towel. That's why I'm here.
Throwing in the towel. No, she said that you were interested in peace and that you wanted peace, and I was like, there's no way. He wants my total eradication. And I said, well, if he wants peace, I hope it because I don't really have beef. I don't really want a flame war. I'm fighting for my survival.
Alec,
right
you started all of this. The reason that this has been necessary and will only intensify in the future is because you, instead of focusing on the people that actually got you removed, which is to say Mike, you've decided to focus on me, and you've told a lot of lies that you know are lies.
I don't think.
And I don't know if it's
lies,
I don't. All right, well, let's speak one at a time if we're going to get through this at all. So I'm just going to say my piece, and I think if you disagree by the time that I'm finished, then there's probably no way out of this, and we'll just have to keep going until one or the other of us has been completely destroyed. But I think other people have probably manipulated you into thinking this, particularly Patrick. But I was the one that fought for you to have the chance to not just be completely removed. In that stage in RCR on the Friday night when the doc dropped, when I was supposed to be at a reenacting event that I run, I spent 3 hours, until about 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to be up at 7. I spent about 3 hours, because I saw the doc drop at midnight because Sean texted me about it, defending you in terms of allowing you to have a chance to actually answer these allegations to the largest number of people possible in front of Teutonia and Octavium, stalemated, and to essentially answer the charges that had been leveraged against you, to have a chance to defend yourself. Mike and all of the other people in that stage VC were demanding your total and immediate removal. That's why I locked you out of the accounts, because I thought if you hear about this from them and you think that I'm planning to remove you, you might destroy the group, which would have been understandable in the context, but would not have been very good for Octavium. Not that any of this has been at all. So I first did that to try and make sure that you had your day in court. When the plea deal came up, I thought, right, now is a chance to actually end this and resolve it. Somebody, I don't know who it is, but somebody has told you that Mike apparently received a DM from me. Now, I can go back to my chats with Mike, and we can have a look at what I was talking to him about at that time. And I did not influence him in any way. Any of the judges, any of the people involved, I made it clear to them that they were independent and impartial, and it was their decision based on the evidence that was presented to them, and they could charge whatever they pleased, and I and Stalemated would respect whatever sentence they issued to you. Now, during the plea deal, I did not message Mike. I didn't message anyone. I was in a VC with you at the time, and I was equally as shocked as you that Mike demanded your total removal. As you remember, because I know that you do, and it has also been clipped, I talked about the possibility of several months, whatever, spending time away from the platform in light of the allegations, and you at that point agreed basically that in return for that you would accept partial guilt to the allegations which were being made. So in principle you accept partial guilt to them anyway, so you can see that they were ill-advised. And looking through our chats, as I have done for the last couple of days since you decided to drop your dog, I have realized, in essence, that you were warned several times by me to avoid this kind of stuff and failed to do so. And you had the opportunity to get out of this situation repeatedly by distancing yourself from ill-advised communications with people like Patrick, like Freya, and so on. And look, there is no conclusive evidence that, you've done anything sexualized with them. I'm not accusing of you of that. And I haven't at any point before, although it is amusing to imply it because that's what it seems like to the vast majority of people, which is why the reaction outside of your dwindling community has been extremely explosive. That's why we're here today in this position. And it's why, when you put up a doc accusing me of working with the Caddens, which, by the way, they invited me to GC because they wanted to, quote-unquote, make peace with me.
Docs war.
When you say things like that,
yeah.
When you say things like that, people don't care because of the things that you've done. That should surely begin to raise red flags. But anyway, I'll finish what I'm saying so you can respond. So, at no point did I influence anybody to sentence you to a guilty verdict. At no point is there any benefit to me personally from you being removed. You are going around telling people abject lies that you are getting too powerful or whatever. As I repeatedly explained to you from the beginning of our partnership until the end, I wanted you to be powerful. I wanted you to have the largest group possible. If your group surpassed Teutonia in members, that would be a good thing. Because the bigger your group was, the more of an actual enemy there was for Teutonia. So can you give me any logical reason in your head that isn't just for the sake of saving your own skin? Any logical reason that I would set up a trial to have you removed, spend 6 hours on it, even though it was apparently a predetermined verdict, and then proceed to remove you and in the process see the project that we had spent 2 years working on that was finally doing well be completely destroyed to the point where I was so disinterested in it I just gave it away. What logic is there to any of this except for you winding yourself up with a million lies for the purpose of attempting to, even though I'm not the one that got you into this situation, you did, and I'm not the one that collated all of this evidence and published it to an organization which does this. That was Mike. The only thing that I did was bow to the inevitable because of this situation and remove you from your group because I had no other option. Even if I had wanted to defend you, which, by the way, at that stage I didn't, because let's think about it. When Silverina was knocking around and Teutonia was locked, you didn't help me. You spent your fucking time trying to poach Teutonians and broadcasting messages to lower their morale. So when I resolved after that point that if you ever got yourself into a mess, I wasn't going to help you, and that's exactly what the case was. So I didn't help you. I did all that I could to avoid Octavium's destruction, and I tried to assist you as a friend, but I wasn't going to stick my neck out after they declared you give you the guilty verdict to the point where that would also drag me into your position. I'm not going to destroy my projects because you can't keep yourself from talking to people who are it's just ill-advised to talk to. So I'm not to blame for any of this. And the fact that you're now surprised that so much wrath is being built up against you and is only going to intensify and keep coming in waves and waves and is never going to stop. I don't know how you can be surprised. I told you when you were refusing to step back, because we could have salvaged this situation one way or another if you decided to, obviously it's not ideal taking a break in the summer, but if you just stepped back when you were declared guilty, took a break, we could have waited for things to calm down. We could have waited for, people to reanalyze the evidence, have a conversation with people, have a conversation with Freya, whatever. Actually show the receipts of your conversations, which would have, if you're genuinely innocent, that would have resolved everything. And none of this would have happened, but you couldn't do it. You had to have it your way, and consequently lost Octavium and lost basically the support of everybody that has tried to work with you for the last 2 years, to the point where you're left with people like Patrick, who, you've seen my document. You can go and look at your own comments. You know what the truth and reality is. There's no point lying about that because it doesn't convince anyone. So if you can give me any logical reason that you have decided to make this entire thing about me, I'd be quite interested to know.
Okay. That was
can we stop one moment?
Oh, wait. Stop for a moment. Hold on a second. I gotta
Stop
respond.
one moment and say something. It was
go
just
ahead.
that Lloyd had mentioned a lot about you making lies, and I would like to mention that there is a lot of back and forth in regards to sharing of information. And it is possible that people have lied to Alec as well, so let's keep this fair and let's not.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I think that Patrick and other people have deliberately convinced Alec to go down this road
All
in
right.
order to destroy him.
I want to respond.
Okay, your
You
turn.
gave me 1 billion points. I have to remember. So the
Yeah,
first thing,
of course, yeah.
first thing I'm going to say is that you said that the whole time that you were on my side till the very end. That's not true. I am aware of Operation Ruler Commissariat Southland, where you deliberately tried to replace my high command with your loyalists in preparation for the inevitable, as you have stated in this conversation. What was that inevitable? That inevitable was my removal. Whether it be from an RCR document, whether it be from a coup d'etat from your own members, that was all planned out since May. And I have the receipts. I have the chat logs. They're not leaked yet. I have those on standby, but that is a
You
proven
can
situation.
You can link them.
Hey!
Feel free to
What did I say? What did you say about not talking over each other? All right,
free to leave
I let
them.
you
I'm just
talk.
telling you. Sorry.
I let you talk.
Alec.
I'm going to talk. So,
He just wants to add to it. Don't be argumentative.
so I can add when he talks, but I can't. Okay, well I'll keep that in mind then. I'll add when he speaks. So,
No, here's the thing.
so you claim.
Wait,
oh, now I get
stop.
interrupted. So he gets a full
stop.
10 minutes of yap,
No.
and then when I
Alec.
talk, I get interrupted by.
Alec.
Go ahead.
Alec.
Go ahead. Go ahead then. Interrupt me.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you upset. It's just that I know he was going on for quite a while, and it's okay for you to add things. Just say, wait a moment,
Okay.
and handle this maturely, because
Okay.
he can add something as well. It's just, for as long as he talked, I only assume that you will talk for about the same amount of time, and it is, we're all human,
Okay.
and we will forget, naturally, some of the first things that were mentioned. So if he wants to mention something before the topic has changed and everyone loses
Yep.
it, then he may. And you may
All
as
right.
well. And there's
That's
nothing
great.
wrong with that. Just handle it.
Alec, go on. I'm listening.
Thank you, Leutgard. Thank you,
Yes.
Leutgard. Now we got
Okay.
the moderator chipping in here. It's me versus Hans, so Leutgard's the moderator. So, you claim that you never messaged Mike about my removal, and you said that the whole time Mike wanted me removed. Well, there's things I want to mention about that. So when we talked about the plea deal with Mike was open to me taking a break for the summer. He was. He said that in the call. He said you have the clip, post it, because he said in that call he was open to it. And then he said,
He did not.
Well, hold
He
on a
did not.
second. Hold on a
He
second.
did not.
Hold
He
on
did
a
not.
second.
You're just
Hold on a
lying.
second.
You're
No.
outright lying.
I'm not done.
Fucking clip.
I
You're
then
absolutely outright lying.
Okay.
You are.
Dude, you're
He
talking
was the one
over
that
me.
said-
You're talking
he
over
is the
me.
one that said-
You're talking
Oh
over
my
me,
God.
so I'm gonna talk
Stop it.
over you, dude. So this is what happened. Mike gets a DM. He says, I've talked to my team and I talked to some people, and they want you to be completely guilty. Okay, they don't want the changing of the verdicts. They don't want a changing of the sentence. They want you to be completely guilty. That's what I was told. I was also advised by Patrick that you guys were in a private call. Tony wasn't present for it, but that you had called with, I believe it was Patrick, Evil Howard, Adam, and Lourdes, and that you had advised them there had to be a punishment. There had to be justice. There had to be something that was done that was not an innocent verdict. And you know very well that Lourdes, Adam, and Evil Howard had all told, well, they I don't know if they told you this, they told me that they will do whatever you want them to do, right? The reason why they wanted to be innocent was because we talked, and they thought that you wanted to be innocent. And they said if that was your verdict, then that was their verdict. And I was advised by Patrick that your verdict was that I was completely guilty. And another red flag about that is because Mike had told Patrick in a DM that he was provided new evidence by you to present to the trial to further solidify this new guilty verdict. Mike himself said that to Patrick. Now, why would Mike say that? I have no idea. Is Mike lying as well? Is there a conspiracy against Leutgard? I don't think so. I think that you definitely wanted me to be guilty. I think this was planned since May, and I think that it's more convenient for you. And I'll get into that later. There's a lot of points I got to address here. That's just one of the points. Okay? You said that I had an opportunity to get out of the situation with Freya. I already did get out of the situation with Freya. And I told you that in the DMs with you. I said we distanced ourselves. She's not in the group. She's been removed. There is distance between us. And that whole situation happened between, I believe, August to November. A lot of the chat logs were in August, maybe September and October, and November. November's when it got released, and that's when she got removed. In the tail end of December, she was brought back into the group to run Freya's, and there is a professional boundary established that has been maintained to this day, other than the claim that I had given her my credit card, which is a ludicrous allegation, because why would I give anyone my credit card? In the chat log, I literally said, I don't know what kind of card is it. So that proves that it was a gift card or some other kind of card that wasn't my actual credit card. But anyway, other than that little situation, Freya said in the chat log to Piper that she had moved on from me, her crush had been removed, and that she had moved on to other guys or whatever, right? So the proof that I had moved on from that situation is right there. It's in our DMs that you leaked. It's in the RCR document. The proof that we had moved on is already present. Just because she had rejoined the group months later to run the Freya's franchise doesn't mean that we resumed conversation and was back to being besties for life. You then want to mention that the conversation with the Caddens was an innocent conversation that we're exaggerating and whatnot. But as far as I'm concerned, that was a conversation I had with the Caddens where you mentioned, they mentioned a dox war going on. They said, we're in a dox war. We have dirt on you guys. You have dirt on our guys. Let's make peace. Okay? I'll let you explain it in a second because I don't know what they mean by that when they say that they've got dirt on your guys and you have dirt on their guys. But you go ahead and say to them, we should focus all of our attention on Aleczaender. So you have a dialogue with the Caddens where you mention a dox war between Teutonia and the Caddens, and you immediately tell them in this chat log, no, focus on Aleczaender, focus on Aleczaender. And you're going to tell the entire world that your whole agenda there was to get away from that. No, we didn't want Aleczaender doxed. They were trying to dox us, and I was just saying that, get them off my back. You know, give them that. It's like a game of hot potato. You know, it's like you knew what you were doing. The chat log is very clear. I think that you deliberately wanted them to go after me without any context, and I think you knew what would have happened. We all know who John Reggio is. We all know who the Caddens are. We all know who the Cadden Inquisition are. It's not like they're a LARP squad of people that go and raid games. They're an inquisition of doxers, of swatters, of people that do cyber crimes. Okay? So, of course, when I receive these chat logs, and I'm being told by multiple sources that your intent was nothing but bad against me, okay, of course I'm going to think that. I want to also mention, you know, that Octavium was getting really powerful in 2025. You have all these chat logs in 2024 and late 2023 where I'm begging you for devs, I'm begging you for money, I'm begging you for this and that, and you're saying, oh, look at desperate little Alec who's begging me for support, okay? Support that I barely even received. I already admitted that you gave me a lot of Robux, between like 50,000 to 100,000, within that ballpark, maybe more, maybe less. It doesn't matter. You claimed that it was way over that it was over $1 million. If that includes the UGC, then that's up for debate. But in regards to us being supported, you promised me before Octavium we would have a full-scale dev team, we would have the uniforms done, we would have the maps done, we'd have our own map and everything, and that never came to full fruition. You had failed on that front. And as a consequence of that, I had to get my own dev team, I had to get my own investors, and my own hat makers. You even claimed in your document that you guys made the UGC. No, my guys made the original peak caps. They made the original helmets. They made the original everything aside from the webbing. The only thing that your developers made for me, if I'm not mistaken, was the webbing, the belts, and the fezzes. Everything else was made by my devs, which you guys uploaded. For the record, which you claim in your document was the other way around. Now, back to get on topic. So as far as I'm concerned, we did not receive that dev team. And we had to get our own map. Now, you can claim us buying the map is a testimony that our dev team is in the shitter or whatever. You could say that. But that's beside the point. And if I made my own group, not owned by you, and made that exact same deal with Stall, it would have went through, and it would have had my own group, my own map, where we would have the same thing with you not owning us. And that's the point that I want to make, is that we would have been independent. And you knew that. In 2025, Octavium was starting to win raids. We won that raid in February against the Ruler's Guard at our Outskirts of Champagne map. And the only reason why the raid went to shit was because your general spawned in weapons, gears, UFOs, and other accessories to try and win the raid, which, by the way, was a fair zone raid. All sides had the same weapons. The only change to the map was the fact that your guys' admin abuse and the control points didn't work. We went to the kills that we decided, and we had won the raid. The excuse that your group got deleted, therefore invalid, is not an excuse. Because if it was an invalid raid, you would have canceled the raid. You would have said we're not doing a raid, but you still did, and you lost. And instead of punishing your generals for admin abusing in the raid, you blamed us for giving them the admin, where they allowed themselves to go and admin abuse, and got mad at us for that, and said, we're going to have a new fair zone raid at a new map to prove that you're better than us. And obviously, we all know the real reason why we weren't doing raids at Teutonia on official fair zone maps that were at these other maps. And it's not just because we apparently suck. You could say that, and there's truth to that, in the sense that we don't have clanners and shit, but you do have exploiters in your ranks. Blue Golden Sky is an exploiter. He has been banned several times. It is an open secret that he exploits, and he has attended the vast majority of your official raids against us. It is a proven fact. You have clanners and
Are we talking about
Baconians in your
Roblox
ranks
groups here, or
that
are we
raid.
talking about? Are we talking about Roblox?
I'm
groups
just
here, or are we
saying that
talking
my
about
group, I'll get to the bottom line of
raid?
this point, of this point in my
Okay.
argument, is the fact that
let's speed it up a
Octavium
bit.
was becoming a strong group. We were winning raids. We were having strong activity, okay? And I think that you hated the fact that I was developing a following completely loyal to me, that at any point in time, I could get removed from the group and take all my followers and go somewhere else. And you're obsessed with saying that we weren't independent, that we were reliant on you, when you know that's not even true, especially not in the 2025 period. You could say that about early 2024, you could say that about mid-2024, but not 2025. In 2025, we were completely independent. We were doing our own thing. We had our own maps. We had our own lore going on. You hated the fact that we were becoming completely independent. And that was a big
Gus,
motivating
Alec,
factor
are you
as to
finished yet?
why you wanted me removed. I'm not even halfway
You
through.
done?
Hey, you're the one that made like 20 points against me that I'm responding to, for the record.
You're not responding. You're bringing up separate points.
No, I'm not. No, you're not. No, I'm not. I wrote down every point that you made on my notepad, and I'm responding to every point that you made. It's all
didn't talk
recorded.
about raids
It's all
at all.
recorded. So we're only halfway there. So we're only halfway there actually. So you said that I'm winding myself down with a million lies. How about the allegation that I made death threats against you? Do you have any proof of these death threats that I've allegedly made against you, that my members made against you, for the record? Because I've said nothing of that effect, that I want you dead in real life, or that we should kill you in real life. Do you have any proof of that? Because last I checked, we made a large speech about moving on from you.
I got a recording of Patrick saying that the only solution for degenerates like Leutgard is a bullet. So I mean,
And is
we
Death
could always,
the Traitor
we
is
could always-
also a death
we
threat?
could al-
Is that also
we
a
could
death
also
threat?
take that to. We could also take that
Okay.
call.
Is death to the
Edit that
traitors a
recording out,
death
Alec.
threat? Is death to Octavium a death threat?
Can we
Because
stop
the
that?
fact of the matter is that you're taking large slogans that are made in large speeches saying this is an unright death threat. That when Patrick said this, he's taking an
I think
unright
it
death threat
doesn't take
against you.
much,
I think that
I think
you
it doesn't
know.
take
I think
much
you know what you're
sense to
doing,
see
and you know for a
using
fact that is
using
not a
statement
real
like
death
that
threat.
in such a
You know in your
heightened-
heart
I
that
think
that was
you know well
not a
enough
real
that
death
using-
threat against you, and you
using
using that to
such,
justify your
language
hatred
in
against us,
such a
and to
heightened
justify your
situation is
doxing of
very
the cannons against us, and justify your
Stop.
mass reporting against us
Alex,
is
you've already
completely
been-
unfair.
You've already been doxxed.
Can we
There's no
stop?
Then you
asking
said,
evidence to
well, I
dox.
haven't
Can
been
we
swatted
stop?
yet, and I haven't been
Can we
doxxed
stop?
where I actually live yet.
Alec,
So,
Alec.
and my work hasn't been doxxed yet. I'm not even done yet. I'm still responding. He made a lot of claims I'm responding
Alex told
to.
everybody where you were.
You
so-
didn't. No, I mean you wouldn't, but the people that work for you would.
There
So
are many
all I did was
problems.
bow to the inevitable, was what you said. Doesn't that prove that you plan to remove me inevitably when you say that? As supported by Operation Willis Commissary at Southland.
Circumstances that had arisen. It's the complete opposite. So Ruler's
I don't think
Commissary at
so.
Southland was set up so that I'll respond to this and then I'll respond to the rest of the things you said.
Okay.
The Ruler's Commissary at Southland was set up particularly because, irregardless of my desire for your group to be a success, it was set up for the specific purpose of keeping my own stake in the group relevant and ensuring that I had eyes on what was actually going on to the group on a daily basis. It was not initially set up as a response to the RCR drama. When the RCR drama began, I then realized that in the event that things did go particularly badly, it would be perhaps the core of future officers from which to rebuild the group. As it turned out, that didn't happen, and most of those people were not interested in continuing to serve with Octavium. It was just an opportunity for them to get pardoned in Teutonia, so that ultimately didn't matter. But it was never designed against you. It was simply designed to maintain my own holding over the group. Now let's talk about some of the things that you said. You said, we talked about the Ruler's Commissariat thing. We talk about where I've mentioned the inevitability of that situation, and then you're confusing that with me saying that you would inevitably have been removed. I think ultimately you were always going to get yourself into a situation like this because you keep on, like with Mike, where you brought him onto a stage and try to humiliate him in front of your entire group. I think that you make these mortal enemies. You still haven't learned the lessons, the reasons that RWW2 does so badly, and so many of its leaders have these mortal enemies, is that you continue to behave in this way. And as a consequence of that, where you've continually gone after people and burned your bridges with them, and the way that you've spoken to them, and we have 150 pages, 154 pages of it in my document, which show it in pretty impossible to deflect detail. So I don't think anyone buys that I was planning to have you removed, but I think looking back on it, your removal essentially was inevitable because of your inability to avoid situations like this. As for the trial stuff, I'm looking through my DMs. I can't remember what date the trial was on, but I'm going to find my DMs with Mike at the time and I'll show them to you. Howard is just pulling for me the clip. If you listen to it, you will know that I at no point demanded your total removal, and it was Mike that, in the end, demanded your total removal. I never encouraged him to do any of that. In terms of the guilty verdict being predetermined...
What about the new evidence?
Tony... What new evidence are we talking about?
Patrick was told by Mike that you had given him new evidence to present.
Where is the evidence that Mike said that?
Well, why would it be lied
evidence that Mike
about?
said?
That's something that's kind of minimal to be lied about, but if you want, I can ask evidence for it.
Alec, let's take your deliberate retardo hat off for 1 minute and think about...
Okay.
Let's think about who Patrick is, all right? Let's go... I mean, if you've read my doc, you have 154 pages there, most of which have you shitting on Patrick shitting on you, Patrick
When we
trying
were
to
at
destroy
beef,
you
when we were at
repeatedly.
ads, yeah, of course.
Bro, Patrick hates you. They all hate you. They talk all the time about how you stink and you're really annoying to be around at these silly right-wing meetups. All of these people talk behind your back all the time.
Oh, okay.
You can cope about it as much as you want, but that's the reality of the
Is that why I have
situation.
RO followers and all these people that come to my parties and events? Hundreds of people?
Patrick is a snake. And you can continue to live in a fantasy world and talk about all of this stuff. If that was really genuinely the case, then I don't think you would be so invested in this platform as you are now that everything you've got has been destroyed. But you can keep living in a fantasy world. That's entirely up to you. But yeah, Patrick, I have no idea what he's saying about Mike. We can bring Mike in here and he can talk about this. He can give his side from the trial. He can talk about it in detail. I'm sure that you won't want that because your story will collapse very quickly, but I can always add him in here if he's online. But no, whatever this stuff about is like planning to remove you is complete bollocks. There's no... You keep basically correlating the Roblox group's increasing success, Octavium's increasing success, with some reason for me to remove you. Despite the fact that the entire time I wanted you to be successful, the whole time, as successful as humanly possible. I didn't agree with the way that you did things, and I didn't agree with the way that you conducted yourself, and if you refer to our earlier conversations, which I've included in the doc, you agreed to avoid political topics and overt religious displays, which you then went back on, so you
I did say it'd be
our
culturally
agreement.
Christian.
You violated our agreement essentially from the beginning before I ever had the chance to...
Remember the reactionary stuff?
Not be able to deliver on my development agreement side. But anyway, so yeah, there is no logic behind it. We were friends. You know, I look back through our old conversations and I realized that we were quite good friends and we looked out for each other and looked after each other. And there is, I'm yet to hear anything other than you saying that I somehow, for some reason, did a 180 turn and no longer wanted the thing that I've been working for 2 years, that is to say, a powerful Octavium to fight a powerful Teutonia, ideally on the same map, which would have solved both of our group's problems and created basically a completely new dawn for RWW2. So I'm struggling to understand it, and I think a lot of other people are struggling to understand, apart from your very small follower base at this stage, what exactly the logic is in me suddenly turning around from wanting you to be as successful as possible in order to fight Teutonia to wanting to destroy you for the reason that you were becoming exactly what I wanted you to be. So that doesn't make too much sense, but you can write that bit down and we'll talk about that in a minute. You claim to have got out of the situation with Freya and all of this stuff and about how you'd stopped talking to her, but then she came back to the group. The problem with this, Alec, is that nobody believes you at all. And the reason that nobody believes you is that, first and foremost, you won't display the actual chat logs between you and Freya that would easily get you out of hot water in this case. There's also the issue of the fact that we know from people that are in group chats with you and Freya that you are still very close and that you still play games all of the time together. And this is outside of the trial. Well, people have seen it and paid attention.
There was a
to it,
game night we
screenshotted
did.
it,
She
so-
joined one game night, and we happened to have acquired the same badge in the game night. But other than that,
Well,
no.
I think in light of everything that's happened and in light of the circumstances where people are talking it, and I'm not, I'm not saying I'm planning to do this. I know that people were discussing it about going to a school, and contacting a school about this to alert the safeguarding team that probably works there. I think in light of that, all of this stuff that's been said and done, I don't think it's wise for you to continue down that path. But you are, you always have to do what you want to do, so you do that. But I, along with basically everybody else, don't believe you. I don't think that when you see things like you're in a group chat together that's F and A, where the love heart is the title, all of the stuff kind of stacked into it, the vaguely sexualized stuff coming from Freya in relation to you, all of this kind of stuff, this is the reason that it was concerning, and this is the reason that even if I had wanted to defend you at that stage, even if I had turned around and said to Mike and all of these people who said, you do whatever you want, I'm not going to remove Alec, I'm not going to remove him from Stalemated, and Teutonia won't stop engaging with Octavium, that would have collapsed Stalemated. It probably would have compromised my position in Teutonia. And I didn't want to do it anyway, because I think that, I think you have, like almost every RWW2 leader, you have baggage, but you have massively added to that baggage by your refusal to act. And this is what you'll remember. We had about an hour and a half long conversation, which Tony can attest to, before the trial, where I tried to explain to you how you could present yourself in the best way possible. And I explained to you the way in which you could do that. And I said to you that trying to essentially own these allegations by presenting as much evidence to corroborate the fact that they weren't true, like presenting the receipts, which you refused to do. You never presented any actual conversations, but the conversations that people do have show Freya talking about you in a sexual way, and they show you in a group chat with her that's F&A, love heart. If you're going to get so angry at me for simply enforcing the will of the genre, I don't understand how you can't look at all of these things and understand why people are unconvinced when you simply explain them away as being jokes or memes or taken out of context or things said in bad taste. The vast majority of people at this stage are convinced, even more deeply than before, because you've continued your liaison with Freya after your removal, that something particularly concerning is going on. And now, in addition to that, the Cadens. The first question I would raise with regards to that is why on earth I would bother doxing you or asking somebody to dox you when you have already been doxed and all of your information and your family's information is already out there. It's not of any interest to me to threaten you personally. The Cadens, yes, they are a doxing organization, whatever you want to call them, but they're also perfectly capable of working in a traditional Roblox intel way, which is to say that they're perfectly capable of getting into your group and essentially destroying it from
That's
the
not what you
inside.
told them, though. You didn't tell them to infiltrate my group.
I didn't tell them anything. I told them to
Of
join
course
the
not.
United Front against Alec. So I didn't tell
And
them
they
to
mentioned
dox you.
doxing. That's all they talked about was doxing people, and you're like, yeah, join the crusade, join the crusade. I started talking about doxing your group and doxing people in general.
You're taking two parts of the conversation
That was
and
part
merging
of-
them together because it meets your. I posted the entire conversation in the Steel
No,
Magic
it wasn't the full
broadcast.
conversation. Mine has more of the conversation, and I didn't bleep out any usernames. It provides the full context, so that's not true.
The one that you posted involves Myrak, and I think it's the connection to Myrak and your decision to post that, which is probably one of the reasons you've got yourself.
It wasn't
in the
even
position you
Mirak
have
that sent me
with
those, by
Aaron.
the way.
Yeah, no, of course he wouldn't. He hates you. But in any case, the first part of the conversation is in relation to Cadden and Teutonia. It has nothing to do with you or Octavium. Sorry, Zaenderism, whatever you want to call it. The second part of the conversation, after John joins, is where I tell them that if they want to join RWW2, association with you is not permissible, and that they need to choose a side in relation to that. At no point in that conversation did I ask them to do anything to you personally, or in real life, or anything like that, or any of your members. And unsurprisingly, they haven't, because it isn't something that they're willing to do to people at random, and I didn't need to ask them to do it because it's already been done plenty to you. And again, it isn't something that I want to happen to you. if I wanted them to do that, Alec, I just point blank ask them. So
You wouldn't, because that's bad optics.
yeah.
You're smarter than that.
Well, you'd be surprised. I think I could, the things that you've been doing recently, I could be encouraged to lose my patience and say something like that. But yeah, I guess that's it. That is what it is. So no, I didn't ask them to dox you or hurt you personally. That's not in my interest. And I don't think that conversation can be misinterpreted that way unless you want to misinterpret it that way. With regards to your conversations about the RG, you were victorious at one raid on home turf, which wasn't a fair zone. It was a home turf map. Fair zones can only be something like Mont Blanc. And yeah, your group has never actually won, or your community as a whole in the whole 8-year history or whatever it is that you've been involved in groups, you have not won at Mont Blanc or any accepted fair zone. So if you want to,
We have done future top raids. You just don't know about them.
I'll throw the gauntlet down. If you want to do 50 versus 50 at Mont Blanc, I'll shut my group down if you win. You shut your group down and leave the platform if I win. How's it sound? 50 versus 50. Blue Golden Sky won't come.
Oh yeah, just him. Maybe he'll come on an alt. Maybe we'll have like 10 other exploiters. USM and many other groups have said that you bring exploiters, that you guys cheat. I don't really trust your group, and I don't know why you do it with us. I thought you were trying to move on from me. You're trying to ignore me. You're trying to have a world Aleczaender.
I'm offering you a way out. No. You can destroy. You can use the vaunted legions of the Zaenderist forces to win a single.
You have the
victory
entire
at,
genre
Mont Blanc.
against me, and you think that I would entertain a fair raid with you, as if that would happen. No, we're gonna continue this.
Why not? Are you scared? You don't wanna.
Oh yeah, me not wanting to raid means I'm scared. Peer pressure doesn't work on me. You should know this by now. I don't fall for peer pressure. I presented evidence about exploiters. I've presented evidence about planners and stuff. I'm going to present the argument, actually, and I'm going to ethically destroy you in the argument. Are you done?
Let's stop talking over one another and let's calm down.
Are you done?
USM still fight us to this day.
Well, they told me that you guys exploit.
They also exploited at your game, which was pretty funny. Anyway, Alec, I'm not here for a debate.
You're not here for a debate. Okay.
I came here on the understanding that you were gonna.
Well, I'm gonna respond.
Throw in the towel.
I hope you know that.
Well, the conversation's over. I can tell that we're not gonna get anything.
You're gonna run away. You're gonna run away, Lewis.
Unless you wanna.
You're gonna run away. No.
I tell you what. Let's even the odds, shall we? Let's add some of the people that you've been.
And you're gonna add your friends. You're gonna even the odds. Let's bring in 3 people.
Calm down. Can you stop?
I'm gonna add the people that you're accusing of lying, since I think.
Okay. Here's what we're gonna do then, Lloyd. I'm going to mute. I'm gonna mute these people, and I'm gonna mute you if you keep on talking over me. And I'm going to respond. I'm gonna respond.
I'm recording, then
we're both recording.
Howard and I can have a conversation. Okay, Howard, I muted Alec, so let's have a conversation here. I think he's muted you, so you and I can have a conversation.
I'm gonna give my response off camera then. That's great.
As I understand, Alec.
So as I understand, he says, Leutgard decided to concede the debate. He has tried to bring in reinforcements to aid him in a conversation, it would seem, but we are not going to let him do that, so we are going to respond to the audience without his presence. So Leutgard said that behind the scenes, he accused me of not helping behind the scenes with Silvina. He said the reason why he didn't go to bat fully for me was because of Silvina. The truth behind that is that I did go to bat for him. I went to bat for him to Mike and told Mike that Leutgard is not bad, to go easy on him, and a bunch of other things which would leave me a lot of pressure from RCR going on Leutgard. In addition to that, I had told Silverina, who asked me if I believed that Leutgard was a Nazi, and I said I do not believe so at all. I know that Leutgard is a homosexual, and his group is very gay and degenerative in many aspects, and they're discriminatory against Christians, but he's not a Nazi. If anything, he's extremely, anti-conservative and anti-Christian. That's what I told her, which in no way favored her argument against Leutgard that he was a neo-Nazi in any way, shape, or form. He then, what else did this guy say? Yeah, and he forgets the time that I went to Aleczaender VC and actually went into VC and defended Leutgard against Der Spies when there was this role-play civil war and said, I side with Leutgard, I did not side with this other guy. That's what's going on here. And then Leutgard then says that this entire thing was salvageable. And the fact of the matter is that it wasn't salvageable. The fact of the matter for the whole situation was that I was given an indefinite time to leave. There was no promise I'd be back. There was no summer break. I was told I'd be removed for an indefinite amount of time, and that was that. I would be 30% guilty, 70% innocent. That's not a break for the summer. That's an indefinite leave. He then goes on to say that the DMs with Patrick incriminate me calling him Epstein, and then releasing the DMs where he's encouraging me to get with Freya, and I'm actually denying the advances, saying I'm not comfortable with that, that's inappropriate, yada, yada, yada. They actually defend me. I actually said in that chat, like I said, look, people could say that I'm grooming her for marriage, but that's not true. What's actually going on here is Bible study and innocent conversations about her faith and her politics. How is that a bad thing? Okay, that defends me. It makes me look good, actually, if anything at all. In this chat log that I have, in Operation South Commissariat, whatever it's called, Leutgard says, it would be useful to identify potential Alec loyalists, watch for them to slip up, and then replace them with our people. He also says, if you're here, we're counting on you, both Lavo and I, to be springhead for tightening our grip over our existing project. These are not him trying to bring me more loyalists and bring me more commanders to run my group. This is him actively replacing my members to strong arm my group with his members for an inevitable takeover to replace me and remove me. Leutgard will say in this debate that he wanted an Octavium versus Atonia, and that might be true, but you wanted an Octavium without me. You wanted an Octavium without me. That's why you created Operation Southland and replaced me with a loyal leader. That's why Adam Lourdes and others were put in charge after I was removed. What the hell? You sold it after you failed. Is that a soundboard? That's very strange. I don't know if that's a soundboard or what that was. Oh, they're playing a soundboard. That's funny. That's funny. Alright. So, as I was saying, nobody believes you. The old accounts were deleted with the full chat log. So if I want to go back to August, October, November, December, I can't. There's no full chat to display that they want to see. There is a new account that I have, and she has a new account, but there's really nothing on there, and even if I wanted to, it would require the consent of Freya. And as far as I'm concerned, Freya wants to be left alone. She doesn't want DMs shared. She doesn't want her ID shared. People have seen her ID. There are people like, I believe, is Gab Cadden, and who's the other guy that saw her ID? Some other guy saw her ID. But other than that, I mean, she wants to remain absent and distant from this drama. There is no sexual stuff, and the only stuff that's been mentioned is her talking about me and fantasizing about me in DMs with Patrick. It, at no point in time, mentioned any active sexual conversations. Nothing, of course, in the chat log was leaked until November 2024. So, in terms of, like, me not staying in contact or whatever. So, receipts can't be presented, as I said, because their chat logs are all deleted accounts. So, for instance, he mentions the FNA GC, which, at the time it was screenshotted, had a avatar of me and Freya in the PFP, and it said FNA, and it had a heart in it. If I recall correctly, it was a GC with a bunch of Freya's friends, and had other people in the GC, people were close to Freya, and someone named it that, changed the avatar, and then they changed it back later, and that was it. Someone, of course, screenshotted the GC at that point in time, and used it against me, but obviously this wasn't some, like, weird GC that was going on, that's they're alleging. There's no proof of that. There's no proof this was a long-term GC used for whatever purposes they're accusing me of using it for. It wasn't, you know, if you look at the avatar, it wasn't me and her in a game of the GC. It was her in a clone of me. You can tell because in the background, the game that she was playing, or whoever was playing the game, was the Change Your Outfit game. It lists all the players' outfits, and she just happened to have my outfit next to her. You can tell because the background of the game has the exact atmosphere and environment as that game. It was not a screenshot that she took with me and my character, or whatever they're trying to allege in the PvP of that GC. Going after me is not just about doxing. Okay, he's saying that I'm already doxed, and that very well is half true. But the fact of the matter is that IRL damage could still be done to me. That includes contacting my work, which has already been attempted. It's contacting my friends in politics, which has already happened and been attempted, and unsuccessfully so. Doing this type of stuff requires resources to locate my friends, locate my family, locate my work in politics, and people close to me. It requires manpower who are competent enough to do this. That includes people like the Cadens, the Regios, Hazan, Arian, the Zones, to conduct these operations. That is what happened with Evelyn. Hazan told me that it wasn't just about doxing Evelyn, it was about harassing her to get Evelyn off of Leutgard's back. That's what that was all about. It wasn't about supposedly just doxing her full name in a chat or whatever, okay? It was never about that. It was actually about harassing her to get her away from Leutgard and scare her away. I can't address the screenshots because I was removed from the group chat after they had tried to bring reinforcements and talk over me and play soundboards, but I do have some screenshots that I would like to present. I want to figure out a way of doing it without exposing anything. Let me just... I'll do this. I'm going to go to Hansel's DMs. I'm going to post the screenshot. And I'm going to go there. So as you can see, Mike says, you should have given it to us. Heads up, and pointing that out. I didn't know you were sending it. Admin Lourdes said they DM'd you. Light wanted it addressed to grill Alec. About the GC, Lourdes didn't DM me. I don't know. He won't allow it to end. Bro, Alec is already grilled. Until it's addressed and Alec is grilled over it. Like he's already effed himself so many times. I also want to bring to attention the screenshots where Operation... What is it even called again? Southland? Rose Commissar Southland. This is him the day I got removed. This is him a month before the document of RCR got released. Him saying Alec loyalists watching them slip up and replace them with our people. Once you fill a portfolio, kind of Alexander on disconnect ranked. We're counting on you with Labo and I to be the springboard for tightening our grip over our existing project. So he planned, it seems like from this chat log, he planned to make Lavo the leader of this project. Obviously that failed. He's making his own project now. So that's kind of suspicious. If you need rank, don't be shy and pinging. If it is convincing, you'll need to act like you're one of their loyal Sickle fans. So, I mean, this goes on and on. There's more than just these what I've dumped in here, by the way, but, I mean, it goes on and on. It was an infiltration campaign planned for months. On the 19th, he sells Octavium and says, I have washed my hands of Octavium. This project is now completed. I thank you for your efforts. This project is now completed. Completed after I've been removed, defamed, and Zaenderism eradicated from Octavium. If any of you are need to be pardoned from just your service here can be used to certify the pride you have not engaged in most of your category of offenses. That's pretty much it. So thanks for watching this debate. Unfortunately, Leutgard kind of scuffed it. He kind of, ruined the debate and crashed out. But that's pretty much it. So thank you all for watching. Tell me in the comments who you think won the debate, if you think that I won or if you think that Leutgard won. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.